Hey there, ladies and gentlemen. I've just finished watching the Legion developer update VOD, and I thought I'd just sort of take a little bit of time just to give you guys sort of some of my own personal feedback. Um, Ultimately, it felt of 50 minutes of not very much. I think the topics that they touched on weren't really anything that has got me excited. I think for somebody that's obviously already been in Legion Alpha for a little while and done a little bit of testing myself, I'm really concerned that the things that he sort of talked about, none of it really excited me, and I don't know whether that's just because I'm feeling really pessimistic about Legion at the moment, or that none of it seemed big enough in terms of new features to keep me sort of interested and excited for the meantime. And I'm going to go through sort of the main sort of points that they talked about, but it just didn't seem that there was much substance in there. And I think that is a real problem. And although I didn't read the chat at all, I've heard the chat was pretty toxic, but I think that was always going to be the case anyway. Um, and so I'll go through the sort of points that they were chatting about and try and give a little bit of feedback on each. So I might as well just sort of start on the top. So the fact that they've announced that beta is now pretty much in the pipeline and you guys should be checking to see if you've got invites and things, I think is good. I think personally, I don't, from what I tested on live servers, I don't think that the game is in theory ready enough, but they apparently do. And hey, what do I know? And so yeah, I think it's good in the long run. Let's face it, we need to get more people testing, and I'm enjoying the fact that they're trying to get everybody online at a specific time in terms of stress testing the Broken Isles vent. I think that's really important for any of you guys that were sort of, especially on EU. I think we got Warlords of Draenor a little bit earlier than you guys in the US. Um, and not being able to physically find Khadgar and click Khadgar, never mind even get online, was pretty grim, to be honest. So that's a positive. Do you know what I mean? I think if they can stress test as much as possible, that'd be good. Ultimately, I think they know what they need to do in terms of stress testing. They've just got to try and put as much money into the resource and making sure that things come off smoothly. And I don't know if that'll be the case this time around. Let's hope so, because every time they kind of promise us, but we'll wait and see with that. So I'm looking forward to testing the Broken Isles event, the scenario. I'm I'm probably not one to. Well, I'm going to have to do quite a lot of characters due to the fact of me wanting to test professions. I just hope I don't get too bored. Um, I hope I don't get too bored from doing the Broken Isles event. That when it comes to live, that I'm not sort of going, oh my god, I've done this. This is the 12th time that I'm doing it. I'm hoping maybe after the initial stress test, they maybe give you an option to skip it. I don't know. I can't see that happening though. But yeah, I think that's a good idea. So yeah, let's hope that a lot of you guys that sort of have really wanted to get into alpha and kind of missed out. Let's hope that you guys get a chance of doing beta. And I suppose I'm gonna try and get online for when it kicks off. I think it's 10 o'clock in the evening for me, which should mean I can probably do it. I think it's Thursday evening, so that should be fine. So I think I'm going to do it. If any of you guys are going to be around, any of you guys want to sort of maybe do a little bit of testing together, then yeah, just hit me up. I reckon that should be pretty cool. I might try and get a few of my guildies onto TeamSpeak and have a bit of a laugh with it. Maybe give a little bit of sort of internal feedback there. So yeah, hit me up if you want to, guys, manage to get an invite and you want to sort of team up and do some of those bits and pieces. And yeah, I think that kind of covers that point pretty much. Moving on, they sort of started to talk about the class order halls. From my experience so far, I don't think there's very much to them. Um, I really hope that it is going to be a case of you run in, you pick up your quests, and then you run out again. From the experience that I've had so far on the alpha, I've not really kind of gone back to my class order halls. I didn't because I was doing a lot of profession testing. I didn't actually go to some of the class order halls on some of the characters that I started, and so the only one that I really kind of got a half decent look at was the priest one. And I'm liking the fact that you're not going to be able to customize it. I know they talked quite a lot on that. I like the fact that the missions are going to be helping us go out into the world. But just touching on those, I've talked a lot about. My wife plays a lot. A lot of you guys know that my wife plays. She hasn't played anywhere near as much over the past expansion towards the end of Mists of Pandaria. And she's now very much a sort of casual player going, well, what's going to bring me back to the game? And the thought of another sort of mission table to somebody like her is sort of a nightmare, do you know what I mean? And although they were trying to say, hey, let's face it, there's not going to be that many missions and there's not going to be that many followers, the first thing that she came out with was, well, why can't we sort of interact in different ways with these sort of missions and things? And I think when I heard about the followers for Warlords of Draenor way back when, one of the things that the wife did suggest was, well, she really enjoyed, as more of a casual player than me, I suppose, she really enjoyed the scenarios back in Mists of Pandaria. And one of the things that she kind of came up with was, well, why can't we do some sort of scenarios with your followers? I think that's a really good idea. They talk about obviously gaining these missions, and you're going to go out into the world and do quests. I think I think it'd be really good if they would have maybe thought about introducing scenarios that possibly were out in the world rather than an instance event, because then you're not out in the world. But maybe a scenario event that is just out in the world, and you kind of have to fight along your followers. And she kind of said, because ultimately we are trying to play a MMO, how good would it be if you could team up with a friend or a guildie or other people and do the scenario together, so that way you're kind of combining your missions and things? Because the problem about the Garrison mission table is it's all just solo content, and at the moment I don't see anything sort of changing with that. Now I appreciate that, like, hey, let's face it, if you're going to be in a different class, then how is a paladin and a priest going to be able to do similar similar quests for their artifacts and stuff? But I would have liked to maybe have an option to maybe sort of team up with people. I don't know. I honestly don't know what the solution is with that. But I think being able to do things with other people is something that has really, really been missing for quite a while now. And so much of the content is soloable in what is supposed to be a multiplayer game. So we'll have to wait and see. I'm not exactly sure how well the class order halls are going to go. Personally, I hope it's just going to be you run in, you run out, and you don't stay there. Because although it would be nice to have a hub where you can sort of congregate with other people, I can't imagine that all of the priests are going to start having a little priest loving. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be a case of people are going to be very, very individualistic, do what they need to do, and just leave again. Not that I see that as a problem, I don't think. So they then moved on to talking about legacy servers. Quite a few guys during my stream have asked me what my opinion was, and I've kind of said I don't have an opinion, and then proceeded to rant for over half an hour. I agree with a lot of the points that they said, and a lot of the points I looked at, it's low level has kind of been left alone for quite a while, and it doesn't feel fluid and all that sort of stuff. I completely agree with all of that. I think the level boosts, although a good idea, are a problem because they are gated through a paid service. I honestly feel that what they should do is introduce some sort of reward system that would benefit people who have played the game a lot. So by that I mean, if you buy the new expansion, you get one boost, which is what they've been doing for quite a while, and I think it's good that you get the one free boost. I've used that on my druid. I've never played a druid before. I've still never played a druid, but hey, I've got an extra garrison, so I'm quite happy with that. I've always wanted a druid, but I couldn't be bothered leveling. But what I think they should do is, rather than making it just a paid service, I feel if you spent the time leveling 10, 15, 20 alts, however many you guys that you get, then you should maybe unlock an extra alt at specific levels. So, for example, if you level up 3 toons, you get an extra boost. If you level up 6 toons, then maybe you get an extra one after that. And I think that's something that I don't think they ever will do, but there's a lot of people now that want different things. Sorry, I'm not feeling so good. I'm just coughing my guts up. There's a lot of people that want different things. From my personal point of view, I have spent my time leveling up a lot of characters. And the last thing that I want to do is level. Do you know what I mean? I really don't want to level. And I think that's an important thing for a lot of people. The last thing that I want to do is spend all my time trying to go through all of these zones that I've done a million times, regardless of how slow it is or how fast it is. I've done the story a lot of times. I don't really care right now. I just want an extra toon, but I don't want to pay for it. I don't want to pay. I mean, how much have we got for a boost now? Do you know what I mean? £40 for me. That's a lot of money just for a another character boost. And I think for those people that really do want the leveling experience, that should be provided. And I don't know what the solution is. My honest, general, full opinion when it comes to legacy servers is, if they're going to do it, they need to do it. And I think this idea of a pristine server is neither here nor there. Ultimately, if you create a pristine server, the pure vanillaists who really want that vanilla experience are not going to be happy because, let's face it, it's not what they want. And those people that aren't really that bothered, well, it's not going to change anything for them. Do you know what I mean? And I think Blizzard would be better to say, yes, we're going to do it, and we're going to make pure vanilla servers, we're going to make pure Burning Crusade servers, whatnot, all the rest of it. Or they're just going to say, sorry guys, we can't do it. And I think any half measure will end up infuriating the community even more, and nobody's happy. So I don't think I need to say too much more on that. I think ultimately for a lot of player base, end game is where the game has always been for a number of expansions, and I don't want them to try really hard now to make a lot of fixes for low level when for a lot of people that isn't even an issue anymore. I mean, right now I have got one more character on this server to get my full slots up to level 100, and that character is at level 87. So I'm never going to play low level on this server in particular again. I'm probably not going to play low level too much. But yeah, we'll see what kind of happens with that. Moving on, Demon Hunters. Didn't really kind of say too much, other than there's going to be some cinematics. I've not played the Demon Hunter just yet. Chances are I'm not going to play Demon Hunter for a while. Just to kind of put it into perspective, when it comes to doing a Death Knight, I did my Death Knight maybe 6 months ago. So, as you can imagine, it's nothing that I'm personally massively excited about. I'll probably end up doing a Demon Hunter halfway through the expansion or so, because I only need to level it from 98 to 100, which will probably be a little bit better than obviously having to drop down to, say, level 55. So yeah, we will see. We will see in terms of um, whether they make any sort of different changes. I know at this sort of stage they touched on sort of different races and things. Ultimately, that's stuff that isn't going to make an impact for Legion for a lot of people. Um, Panda Demon Hunters, meh, doesn't really make much difference for me. Um, they then sort of tried to chat about artifact weapons a little bit more. I'm still not convinced with artifact weapons. We'll have to wait and see. Collecting the artifact power was, yeah, all right, pretty fun. Do you know what I mean? It was nice watching my bar go up. It's like a separate experience sort of bar. Um, but I think having to level up your artifact weapon just to gain another talent point, I think for a lot of raiders is going to be very tiresome. Um, as far as I can recall, and I may be wrong, but if you try and relearn your talents, you need to use more talent points. I'm not sure if that is going to be the case, because if you have to run around, if you make mistakes early on, to then run around to have to use artifact power to reset your artifact, that's going to be frustrating for a lot of people who perhaps just quickly play the game and just, oh, you're drumming, I'll just chuck a talent point in there without really having too much thought to it. So, yeah, I think the jury's still out on artifact power. My only issue is that the artifact power, and this is kind of my general theme for the video. I'm trying to make it positive, but my overall theme right now is there are no new features, as far as I'm concerned, that excite me, and there are no new features that I know a lot of my old Warcraft friends. There's nothing that's going to make them go, do you know what? I really want to play Legion. And I think the thought of having a powerful weapon for a lot of people is great. Do you know what I mean? Do you want to have? Do you know what I mean? For paladins, like I really want Ashbringer. For a lot of my friends, I don't think they're that bothered. And sort of trying to sell this artifact weapon as a really big feature, I don't think is really representative of what of what a feature should be. Do you know what I mean? It's a new weapon. That's about it. There's not really much else to say about it. And yes, you're going to be able to go out into the world and power it up and level it up, and I'm happy with that. Do you know what I mean? Anything that gets people out into the world is good. But same again, it's going to be individualistic. It's going to be you playing solo content out in the world, and there's going to be no reason to team up and do things with other people because you're all going to be at different stages with your weapon and stuff. And I don't think that is engaging content, if I'm honest. So yeah, Mythic Plus, okay. I suppose out of all of the features, if you like, that they've kind of touched on, I think Mythic Plus is possibly the most biggest thing that they talked about while they were discussing everything that they've discussed. I'm not 100% sure as a raider that I am that happy with dungeon content being equal to raider content, and that isn't from an elitist elitist point of view of, oh well, raiders should be the best. That's a point of view of, I don't want myself and my raiders to feel that they have to try and push dungeon content just to get their gear up to a level that they are happy with. And so by that I mean, for a lot of my raiders, if they're going to be competing for a spot, the last thing that they want to be doing is having to log in every night, every other night, every few nights just to compete with other people. So those guys that go out to work and things, compared to the sort of students and the guys that have got a lot of free time, I don't want my sort of raid team feeling that they have to compete with other people for all this Mythic Plus. Now, the sort of the mindset for myself with dungeons, and I think this is possibly going to be the biggest barrier to these Mythic Plus dungeons, is we are so set in our ways of quest, dungeon, raid in terms of PvE that when it came to these Mythic dungeons, I knew that I didn't have to really go and do these Mythic dungeons because I already had the raid gear. And I know that isn't necessarily applicable to a lot of people, but the thought of trying to go into a Mythic dungeon to get a potential Warforged, socketed trinket that would need to have like 10 procs worth of good things on it to make it better than my raid gear was not engaging content. I had a few of my guildies run ridiculous numbers of Mythic dungeons in the hope of getting that super duper proc trinket, and it just never happened. And I think for a lot of people perhaps wanting to do these Mythic Plus dungeons, I think we should be very mindful of the fact that people don't get burned out trying to push and push and push. And I suppose for a lot of people, it's going to be the age-old, well, if you don't enjoy it, don't do it, and I appreciate that, but especially when it comes to sort of end-game raiding, people will seriously push the limits. And I just hope that, although Mythic Dungeons are going to be that sort of progressive, it will get harder and harder and harder. I just hope that the rewards aren't too much more than raid rewards, because I don't want to feel the need that I have to raid and run dungeons for quite a lot of the week. And that's more on a personal point of view, I suppose, and I suppose as a raid leader's point of view, because I'm concerned, and this is where Blizzard needs to understand, and it's a no-win situation. I totally understand that. When it came to the dailies in Mr. Pandaria, I've had quite a few of my raiders quit the game because they hated the fact that all of the dailies and the Valor gear was gated by the rep and all the rest of it. I had players quit and they've never come back. And I just don't want Mythic Plus to kind of be that reason why people quit, because they don't want to run dungeons day after day after day. So we'll have to wait and see. I think it's good that they're trying to improve the game for those that maybe want to push the harder levels of content. I think these affixes that they called them, where like your tanks are not going to have as much threat, and do you know what I mean? You're going to need to AoE the mobs down together. I think that'll try and keep it fresh and more exciting, because let's face it, going from normal to heroic to mythic, there was no change. Do you know what I mean? And there was no change. And I think hopefully this will kind of go some way to addressing that. I think for a lot of people, it may actually end up being interesting and fun. And I suppose if it gets you involved with people on your server or people in your guild, then that can only be a good thing. Do you know what I mean? So, like I said, I think overall it sounds like it's going to be a decent idea. Let's hope so. Let's hope that the rewards aren't too rewarding from a sort of raid leader's point of view. But yeah, we'll see how those go. But for me, that is the biggest feature that they sort of discussed, and the biggest feature they talked about, which I suppose might be a little bit worrying in itself. But anyway. They touched on transmog. They didn't really mention too much. The transmog bits that I've seen in terms of the appearance wardrobe and stuff were pretty good. For a lot of people who do collect transmog, I appreciate that your bank being full of loads of stuff is not really engaging. Being able to transmog pretty much whatever you want, I think is good. And ultimately, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to making a lot of gold with it, that I've chatted about in my streams and things. So yeah, transmog, good. I'm pretty happy. I think that is a positive feature that should be embraced for a lot of people. I think it's going to be good for the game in terms of making items worthwhile again. Hopefully, depending how They track what items you have available. It might even get people out into the world a little bit more if they're missing items and they need to collect things, or they need to collect all world materials to make things. So yeah, hopefully Transmog can push people out into the world again, and that'll be pretty decent. So yeah, quite happy with that. And then I think the last thing that they touched on was sort of world quests, and how they're all going to be sort of different, and it's not going to be all samey all the time, rather than having dailies doing the same thing every day. And I think that's decent. Same again, getting people out into the world, brill. Not being able to do the same quests over and over and getting bored, brill. But again, there was no sort of mention of doing it with friends. Do you know what I mean? There was no mention of you're going to need to team up and get a group of 5 of you or 10 of you to take down this boss. Do you know what I mean? So a little bit like doing a whale boss at the moment, rather than having it, you do Rukmar every single week in the hope that the mount drops, that maybe once every week there's a brand new sort of mini raid boss that is out in the world that you guys have to take down, and it's a suggested group of 10 people, and you do need 10 people. I think that would be great. And I think they should really look to push that sort of community feel. And I just hope that the quests are unique, yes, for the individual, because they don't want everybody doing the same quest every day, is fine. Because obviously you don't want everybody running off and doing the same quest and fighting for materials and stuff. But I just want the game to be less solo. I want people to be able to team up and do things as a guild group or as a server group, even cross realm, I suppose. It'd be a little bit better. So that was pretty much it. And I think, although I've kind of, how long have I been? I've been chatting for nearly half an hour over not really too much. I probably chatted almost as long as they did. My overall concerns are they didn't really talk about much. And, for example, Warlords of Draenor, it was all about the garrison when we were sort of getting the build up and everyone was getting excited. And I appreciate that garrisons didn't turn out the way that a lot of us wanted. But for me, looking back, I was excited when I watched that Warlords of Draenor trailer and I saw the fact that we're going to have our own garrison that we could customize and that we could invite friends in and we could do things and it's going to be great. I was excited. And there is nothing right now that excites me. For Legion. Nothing excites me. I think it was disappointing that they didn't really talk too much on professions. I appreciate that same again they didn't really have a sort of set script to go through or a set thing to go through. Professions so far on Legion, the little bit of testing that I've done, I'm a little bit concerned about as well, mainly due to the fact that they're not very alt friendly. Positive spin is it does require you to do certain things in a group. You have to go into dungeons for certain professions to improve and learn recipes and push your profession that little bit more. But yeah, there's no big feature. There's nothing that is really wowing me. Do you know what I mean? There is nothing that is getting me excited, and I am concerned that although they are arguably trying hard with dungeons to make them relevant again, they're trying hard with quests to make them relevant again, that there is nothing that is the new feature that will bring players back. Things like Transmog being on the appearance wardrobe is a good enough feature, but it should not be one of the main features. Do you know what I mean? If I had to roll off the decent things about Legion right now, you've got the art, or the different things, should I say. You've got artifact weapons. You've got the changes to professions, which aren't really that massive, really. You've got the Transmog wardrobe, and you have got the Mythic Plus dungeons, and then these world quests. Nothing is really new, and I appreciate that I have got no ideas what they could do, but then again, I'm not paid to think. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see how it goes. I want to be excited for Legion. I really want to play Legion. But it's really bad when I'm thinking right now, I would get, for somebody who has never played on private servers, by the way, I would almost prefer to play on a brand new, straight out of the box shiny vanilla version of WoW, warts and all, bugs and all, than play Legion. And I think that's really concerning. I would rather go back and brand new start and level up from 1 to 60 than play a new expansion. And I think that's really, really worrying right now. So that's pretty much my rant over, folks. I appreciate if you got this long. Do you know what I mean? Apologies for my voice. I am a little bit poorly at the moment. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Like I said, if you are around on Thursday, it's 10 o'clock UK time. I'm pretty sure you guys will be able to find out what time it is in your neck of the woods. But yeah, if you guys want to hit me up, because I'm assuming that I'll still be able to play with you guys from other regions. If you want to sort of jump on my TeamSpeak and we can have a bit of a laugh with it, then that'll be cool. But yeah, let's see how it goes. I'm trying to be positive. I want to be positive, and hopefully we can. We've still got a little bit of time to have some feedback rather than just purely bug test and stuff. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, thank you very much, folks. Cheers for listening. Any sort of opinions or anything, comment below. If you're not already subscribing, get yourself subscribed as well. And I will see you all soon. Take care.